Welcome back to the Ricky Mathews Show. I really enjoyed that conversation with CC Shabazz. Brought back so many memories working with her at the Sun Herald, and now as a One Coast Award winner, and the work she's doing at Memorial, and the thoughts she has about the branding efforts that Mississippi ought to be focused on. All good stuff. I can't wait to circle back with her and talk more about her ideas. But it's great to see an African-American leader in the community the way that CC is, and working so hard to put Mississippi's best foot forward. I'm just thrilled about it. And anyway, good to reconnect with CC. Now I get to shift gears to my good friend, Jonathan Jones, who's the Senior Vice President and General Manager of Harrah's Gulf Coast. He's been a regular on this show. And he also is a recent One Coast Award winner. In fact, my observation about Jonathan is, why did it take so long? But anyway, he is now a recognized One Coast Award winner, and I'm just thrilled to have him on my show to talk about it. How you doing, Jonathan?
I'm great, Ricky. It's good to see you.
It's good to see you too. Listen, on the notion of why does it take so long, I say that a lot. I mean, every year there's one or two folks that are recognized that you think, wow, why didn't they get this a long time ago? But I think it's because people like you are just so busy working in the trenches that the last thing you're focused on is whether you get recognition for it or not. But I'm thrilled that you were nominated this year and that you are being recognized, because the work what you think about the role that Harrah's plays in the community is really important. And this is a chance to reflect about that. So anyway, hey, let's remind people what you do. Let's those who have not heard us talk before.
Yeah, so I'm general manager here at Harrah's Gulf Coast in Biloxi. I sometimes joke that I'm a general manager because I'm not real good at any one specific thing. So this is a business that's pretty complex. We've got a lot of moving parts, a lot going on. I spent early part of my career in marketing, moved into finance, spent some time in operations, kind of moving around the country, and have landed here as general manager. Proud to be a part of this team here. We've got about 500 team members many of whom have been here a really long time. And so there's a lot of institutional knowledge, a lot of folks that have real good relationships with our guests. They know what they're doing. And I'm just happy to be a part of this team here.
Yeah, well, you're one of the longer tenured leaders of a casino here in coastal Mississippi. That's cool. You're also from the region, and that helps you have a perspective, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I grew up not far from here in New Orleans, and went to undergrad at Ole Miss and spent some time in Memphis. And so, I am from this area. Did go out west and spent some time in the Midwest, and have been back here now for a while, as you mentioned, and am enjoying making this my home. I think about my tenure here, but it's certainly broken up into lots of chapters. When I got here, this place was still called the Grand Casino, and for those of you that know the size, that was a little bit of a misnomer, and we felt like we weren't taking full advantage of the brand portfolio that Caesars Entertainment has to offer. So, the first chapter was really just understanding the foundation of the business and who we were to inform who we are, and then who we want to be in the future, and rebranded to Harrah's. And since then, we've added several restaurants. We had sports betting. We've renovated the hotel. And then most recently, I would say we've embarked upon a new chapter. We can talk more about that, but we just finished a pretty massive project in the casino and renovated the entire thing and added several new amenities. So, it feels like, this is a book, and we've got many chapters, and I think there are still many that are left unwritten, and I'm excited to be part of the future here.
Hey, well, listen, one of the things I said at the beginning of the show was sort of going back to when we started the One Coast Awards at the time, the Sun Herald Leadership Awards, is the opportunity to hold people up as examples so that others can emulate them and learn from their example and find what their role in the community is going to be. And as it relates to you, Jonathan, I'd heard about you. It's interesting because I knew of you for a lot longer than before I actually met you. But it was you and I got engaged around an important community conversation, and we got a chance to visit, and I got a chance to kind of see you in action as a community leader, as a leader of the Operators Association, and just as someone who cared deeply about, in that time, the subject we were engaged with. But I was impressed. And what's interesting, too, is I find this often with folks, especially in your industry, is that we'll get engaged around something that's important to us, that's important to the community, and then we stay in touch after that because we enjoyed being engaged. We enjoyed understanding where each other is coming from, and that there's I love selfless leaders, and you're one who I would describe that way. But Travis Lunn, I got a chance to spend time in the trenches with him, and what was interesting about that particular case was that I got a chance to see casino operators who were often very competitive with one another, who can set all that aside in the moment and do what's best for the community. That kind of symbolizes what your industry is about, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it is rare that we work as well together as we do in this market. I've moved around the country quite a bit, and many general managers don't even know each other, or if they do, it's not on great terms. And I would tell you that for the most part, we all get along. We don't always agree on everything, but we certainly get along. Any one of my counterparts on the coast would pick up the phone the minute I call them, and the same goes for me with them, for anything really. And I think it is because, as you mentioned, we recognize that we're part of this community, but it isn't all about us. And this community still got a lot of upside, and we all want to participate and benefit from that together, as opposed to one versus the other. I think we all understand the rising tide analogy, and we want what's best for the community, because ultimately that benefits us and our shareholders and stakeholders.
Yeah, when we formed the Gulf Coast Business Council after Hurricane Katrina, we envisioned it initially as an opportunity to bring leaders together, focused on the initiatives that rolled out of the Governor's Commission. But then longer term, we saw it as a way to keep CEOs engaged, because listen, while we think it's great for second and third tier leaders in big organizations to be engaged in the Gulf Coast Business Council, the key to the success of the organization was going to be determined by our ability to keep CEOs engaged. And so that creates a template, a place where you guys can get together, and not just the industry, not just the gaming industry, but also all other industries, from Hancock Whitney to People's Bank to you name it. The opportunity, Yates Construction and Roy Anderson and Andacor and all these different organizations. But that has really created an opportunity for you to be engaged with some really, really dedicated community leaders and create some synergies from working together. It's been a great experience, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. I mean, I think, at the core, business people generally see things similarly. But then as you kind of move outside of that, there are certain issues that come up that, aren't necessarily related to my industry, but I get to learn about them and participate in them, and then maybe see how they do or can impact our industry, and take a position on that. And so I think, to your point, through the Business Council, you find people who generally see the world in a similar way, have some similar sets of ideals, and we know that the number of issues is never ending, right? So there's going to be things that continue to pop up, and it's a really great sort of forum and platform for us to discuss how we want to approach those, keeping in mind that we represent our coworkers, we represent our families, we represent all of the people that live here, and we all want what's best for this region. And so, it's a great platform. It's a great group of folks. And I certainly enjoy serving on that board.
Well, I was deeply impressed, as I expressed to you. I was deeply impressed with how you were able to play a role in bringing people together around an important issue for this community. And a lot of that, I mean, that's leadership in action, and that's not doing, while working in Humane Society is important, and working United Way is important, working Red Cross, or wherever people choose to spend their time. A lot of the most important leadership in this community often happens sort of organically. It happens behind the scenes. People don't even know that it's even happening, but it happens. And I'm thrilled that I'm in a position often where I can see those things and say, wow, that's pretty cool, the way those guys were able to bring a group of really important leaders together around an issue. And that doesn't get recognized very often. But again, you never were interested in who gets credit. That's that's a cool thing about your leadership. But it's true, though, isn't it?
Yeah, look, I mean, it's never about one person. And so you kind of open with, it took a long time. People who serve, do that for the benefit of others. And I certainly, it's never about me. I mean, I don't, doesn't need to be me. It certainly doesn't need to be anything about even Harrah's at times, but there are issues, and those issues need to be solved. And I feel like maybe sometimes I've got a skill set that can contribute to that solution. And I'm happy to lend that. So, if it's a community thing, it's about the residents of the community or whatever the issue is. And then here at work, look, I'll put my hand up when something goes wrong and take responsibility for that. But when things go well and when the team's worked hard, they're the ones that deserve the credit, and I don't do a good enough job of giving it to them, but, certainly try to do that.
That's the sign of really good leadership. We're visiting with my friend Jonathan Jones, who is the leader of Harrah's Gulf Coast here in coastal Mississippi and a recent One Coast Award winner. When we come back on the other side, we'll mention the Hall of Fame that just occurred and how it was great to see everybody related to that. And we'll get the latest from Harrah's. We'll see you after this break. Welcome back to the Ricky Mathews Show. When I'm not on my show, I prefer what leadership I provide to sort of be behind the scenes. I don't really go to meetings very often anymore. I might have been to 5 since 2016, and I'm not kidding. That's absolutely true. But I had the opportunity to see Jonathan just in the past week or so at the Hall of Fame, the Gaming Hall of Fame, like dinner, and Haley Barber, the Ingolstadt Family Foundation, Bobby Moak, Chevis Webman. What a great group of inductees this year. But the best part about it for me was that I don't get out very often, so I got to see a lot of old friends, including Jonathan. Great event, though, isn't it, buddy?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, it really was and is. That's sort of the association's main event that has emerged over the last few years, came out of the Southern Gaming Summit. And I think the decision by the association to really focus on that event it was a good one. It really kind of was the culmination of a long couple of days, and now it was just about that. And it was great to see a lot of familiar faces there. And that list that you mentioned, the 4 inductees this year, was just an all-star list, pretty diverse too. So it made for some interesting speeches. And I think that solidified itself as a can't miss event for the future.
I can't agree more. Yeah, I worked in the trenches with all 4 of the inductees, both before and certainly after Katrina. And man, I have fond memories about all of their leadership. And it was good to see him. It was good to see him. Great reunion. Get to see old friends like Joe Billheimer, who I haven't seen in a long time, and so many others. Just a cool event. Harrah, you mentioned that you just got finished with a big time sort of remake. Tell me what you did.
Yeah, so we've had an opportunity for a little while now to kind of reconfigure the casino. And we got a lot done in a real short amount of time. It, started by listening to our guests and just kind of understanding what some of the things that they were looking to see here. They've told us for a little while they'd like to see a little bit more food options, which we're happy to provide for them. We've got a really great group of options for them currently with Magnolia House, Mix and Mingle, Starbucks, the Blind Tiger, and Steak and Shake. But they wanted a few more options, so we're going to be able to add that. We heard that folks wanted a dedicated non-smoking area, so we were able to provide that. We've never had a live poker room, and at Caesars Entertainment, we're fortunate to have the World Series of Poker brand. That event's going on right now at Bally's in Las Vegas, and so we're able to open the World Series of Poker room here, and then we didn't really have a proper high limit room, which we were able to do and add a bar there as well. So all of that really, the main heavy lifting, we needed to get that done before Memorial Day. So April and through the month of May were really tough on the team. We ended up moving all the slot machines. We ended up adding new carpet throughout the entire casino, and then just expanded the casino footprint to add that non-smoking space and the high limit room. And we're still waiting on a couple of those food options to come online. The health department was here earlier this week, as a matter of fact. So we've got an Asian quick serve concept, and then a seafood, wings, and donuts and ice cream quick serve as well. So it's going to be great. Those will be open in the next few weeks, and then we'll be kind of done on that side of the property, and then think about maybe moving over to the other side, and got never-ending list of things that we want to try to accomplish here.
I mean, your business, I mean, there's always something to do, and you're always in a constant state of reinvention. And then in addition to that, you continue to ramp up your charter business.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, that's been a big hit, big success for us. It's just we find folks that are members of our Caesars Rewards loyalty program all across the country that come down here and love it. And that started in a big way after COVID, when New Jersey was still waiting to reopen. We were able to absorb a lot of that business down here, and folks loved it, and they continue to come back. So we're still finding which markets work and which ones don't. But we find more that do than don't, and folks really do love it here. And I think, honestly, that's been kind of the story of this region. I think folks waited to see, when things would level back down to the 2019 and before levels, and we're staying above that. I mean, you see year to date, the market's down just a tick, but it's significantly better than it was in 19. And I believe it's because people found this destination who, we were very early to reopen. They found it and have become permanent visitors here. And I think that's great. Our challenge is to find more people like that, expose them to coastal Mississippi and create that loyalty that we've seen with a lot of those folks that have come down here.
Yeah, I'm convinced of it. And the social media aspect of people posting that they came down here and sharing it with their friends, and it has a way of, the tentacles have a way of sort of reaching out and engaging more people in this community that maybe weren't engaged before. But it's interesting because in marketing, as you know, because you've got a marketing background too, when some people are just literally getting sick of the message, some people haven't even heard it yet. So, there's always going to be people in the community, in communities all across America, that doesn't know about the Secret Coast, and we get a chance to introduce it. And when you have a database like you guys have, opportunities galore. Hey, listen, we're out of time, Jonathan, but man, it's been a pleasure to catch up with you, my friend.
Absolutely enjoyed it. Thank you so much for having me.
You bet. This has been Jonathan Jones from Harrah's Gulf Coast, a One Coast Award winner. One of the best. Anyway, have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow.